Hey guys, welcome back to the Essential Astrocast. I'm Veronica. I am really excited to share with you this week that we have uh, some respite coming. So we've had some really difficult transits the past week, the past few weeks, the past few months. But we do have some respite coming in the form of Taurus season. So we'll get to that later on in the show. I do want to preface this show with letting you know that you're going to hear the thank you cheer at 7 p.m. So I'm recording this at 6:48 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday night. I usually record on Mondays, but the Astrology delivered some really tough stuff to me yesterday, and I'm sure that you're experiencing it too. And I just couldn't get it together, but I'm here now. So you might hear the thank you cheer that we do every night here in New York City. Every night at 7 p.m., we all open our windows and go on our balconies and on our rooftops, and we cheer on all of the frontline workers. So that is people that are working in the hospitals, people that are working delivering our stuff, people working for Amazon and the grocery stores, and EMT workers and nurses, and people that are out there doing the essential jobs, exterminators, cable guys, Verizon people, Spectrum people. There's so many people that are out there doing essential work. And so every night at 7 p.m., we clap for them. And so if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen my stories, you've seen me post some of those. So tonight you're going to hear that while I record. And what are you going to do? I'm going to miss the cheer tonight, but I really want to talk to you guys. So here I am. And we had a really big aspect happen today. So today is April 14th, and very early this morning here on the East Coast, we had the Sun square Pluto. Now the Sun is hanging out in the sign of Aries. We all know Aries, right? So it's the first sign of the zodiac. We Aries tend to be pretty assertive. We tend to be a little bit loud. We like to go first. And Aries really likes to be in charge. And guess what? So does Capricorn. So Pluto's in Capricorn. And as you know, if you've been listening to the Essential Astrocast throughout the year, in January we had Saturn and Pluto get together, and they got together in the sign of Capricorn at 22 degrees on January 12th. Now, that was a really big deal because that was the beginning of a 36-year cycle and the end of a 36-year cycle. And if you were born in 82 or 83, that's something that's in your chart. So that was a recurrence. So it was an extra big deal for you. Now, we are having a little bit of a trigger of that moment. So we're having a little bit of it's like when you get that moment of deja vu or you have a memory that pops up. So the Sun is in Aries squaring Pluto in Capricorn, but Pluto's only moved 2 degrees since that time because Pluto's so far away from us. So he doesn't move quickly. He takes over 200 years to go around the zodiac. And I've been talking about this a little bit more than normal because we are actually, the USA is in the midst of its own Pluto return because the US was born on July 4th, 1776. And therefore, in 2023, I believe we're going to have our exact Pluto return, but it's already really close. So that's why we've had so much turmoil as a country the past few years. And we're not going to get too into the politics today because it's actually a lot of good stuff to talk about this week. But one of the things that you might be seeing early this week, and you might have seen over the weekend, is that you saw Governor Cuomo and you saw Bill de Blasio, and they were kind of going at each other. And if you're a New Yorker or you're following New York politics because of what's going on with the virus, they don't like each other, and they are, for lack of a better way of putting it, they are how do I say? I really shouldn't say it the way I said it to my fiance, so I'm gonna spare because I try to use good language here on the Essential Astrocast. But with that said, they are really going at it. So they have been having these little tiffs out in the news, and we saw that. We're seeing that happen right now. There was the person in the White House. He rolled a campaign ad basically during the press briefing for the virus, which they're doing every day, actually around this time. And they are like usually having the doctors up there, Dr. Fauci and others talking, and the Surgeon General talking about the medical information that we all need as Americans. And they basically took the opportunity yesterday to run a campaign ad. So, there's a lot of interesting stuff happening politically. And as I always say, if you want to know what's going on in the stars, watch the news, because that's the energy the stars are giving us. So, there's a little bit of compulsive, impulsive, I'm going to be the boss, I'm going to do it my way, I'm the one in control, I'm the one in power, I'll do what I want to do. That is the energy that we're seeing from Cuomo and de Blasio. That is the energy that we're seeing from Trump. That is the energy that we're seeing in our own lives. And so I had my own experience of that yesterday. I got in a verbal altercation with someone, and basically I asserted my power, and I said, listen, I'm the one in charge. I'm the one that's calling the shots here. Like, you can have a seat. And if you know me, you know that that is not outside of my character, because I am an Aries and I have the sun conjunct Mercury in Aries. And yeah, that's not unknown for my personality, but that might not be your personality. And for someone like me who that is my personality, it's not a part of my personality that necessarily like to show that much, but if I need to show it, I will. And so we're all having a moment of stepping into our own power and using it. And you might be using it in a really not so great way, or you might be using it in a really positive way, or you might be using it to get what you want because you need to get what you want right now. So there's a lot of that kind of energy of like, I need, I want, I'm in control, and exerting that. And I think that that might be happening for you in a really positive way, or it might be happening in a negative way, or it might be happening in a neutral way where like it's just what you have to do to get things going. So that's something to look out for. And that happened early this morning, but I have to say, I experienced a lot more tension yesterday. So sometimes when we have particular types of astrological transits, so when we have Mars transits, we often really feel them in the lead up. This was the Sun in Aries square Pluto in Capricorn, and I really felt it in the lead up. I felt the pressure on Sunday. I felt the pressure on Monday. Today, we had the actual aspect early this morning, and I felt like I kind of got over it this morning. Like I just felt better. I felt like a release. So, I love to hear from you guys how these transits and aspects feel for you. So please let me know if you felt the same way. So I'm recording this on Tuesday, just so you know. But it is Tuesday, and we have the moon conjuncting Pluto and Jupiter today as well. The moon is also squaring the sun in Aries. So not only do we have the sun in Aries squaring Pluto, we, of course, because the moon is with Pluto, the moon, which moves faster than the sun, is squaring the sun, and that's why we say it that way. So the moon is squaring the sun, which means that we have entered the last quarter of the moon cycle. So if you were in the Luminary League, then you probably saw my post about this, which is that we are beginning the last week of the moon cycle, the last quarter of the moon cycle. So the moon cycle is 28 days. So we are experiencing that waning period now, that winding down. So it's the very beginning of that. Now the moon is in Capricorn because we're in the Aries moon cycle, right? Because the sun is in Aries, so we had a new moon in Aries. We're in the Aries moon cycle. That means that Capricorn is going to initiate the last quarter moon, right? So that means that while it is the last quarter moon, it is sun in Aries and moon in Capricorn. And you know what that is, same energy as that sun and Pluto, and they're hanging out together. So it's got that sort of like, I'm the boss, I'm in control, don't tell me what to do. It has a little bit of that energy. Now, on the positive side of that energy, because that's kind of the low vibration of the energy, which I was inhabiting quite well yesterday, if I do say myself, the higher vibration of that energy, which I'm inhabiting today, is being motivated and being really like, let me get all the stuff off my desk. Let me write the emails and do the invitations and have the conversations and make all the things happen. And so if you're feeling particularly motivated early this week, it's because we do have that blending of the Aries energy and the Capricorn energy. But if you're feeling like it's a little bit uncomfortable or jostly or like frictiony, sorry, that's not a word, frictiony, but then that also is there. So there's two vibrations. So in astrology or any energy, we have a low vibration, we have a high vibration, and we have the neutral vibration, right? So the high vibration of this is we're very, very, very motivated. The low vibration is that we are not having any nonsense. So, okay. That's what's going on today. And I did talk about this a little bit on the Astrocast last week. And then tomorrow on Wednesday, we move into a little more business with Mercury. So Mercury is in Aries right now. And one of the reasons that you might be having some trouble holding in your feelings right now is because Mercury in Aries is direct. Mercury in Aries is cutting. Mercury in Aries is demanding. Mercury in Aries, it's sort of like it has a thought, it says the thought, it doesn't understand that you might have some feelings about that thought, right? So one of the things that, I'll give you an example. My best friend has a Mercury in Aries, as do I. She one time I remember we were with a friend of ours at the time, and she said she was showing us all the pictures of all the food that her and her new boyfriend were making at home and all the meals they were going to have out, and they were just like having lots of these like really luxurious dinners. And she goes, "Oh my God, you two are going to look like two bowling balls." And I remember being like, "That's really rude. Oh my goodness, is she going to be really upset with her?" And she wasn't upset with her because it wasn't, a serious thing. But she didn't even realize she made the comment because Mercury in Aries has the thought, says the thought, doesn't realize there's consequences for the thought, doesn't even think about the fact that the thought might be rude, doesn't think about how the thought is going to be or the words are going to be received. And that is Mercury in Aries in a nutshell. So we're all having a little bit of what my mother calls diarrhea of the mouth. And there's the thank you cheer. You're probably hearing it outside my window. We're all having a little bit of diarrhea of the mouth right now. And that's okay. It's Mercury in Aries time. And sometimes when we have this energy of I can't hold my feelings in and I'm just spewing, when we have that energy, sometimes it actually brings up stuff that needs to be brought up. But if you are in a business conversation or a particular like important meeting or something like that, take a deep breath before you speak. For on Wednesday, so April 15th, Mercury is going to conjunct Chiron. And that's going to exacerbate all that I just said because Chiron is the wounded healer. It really pokes at our core wound as a human being, usually something that came from childhood. And therefore, Mercury and Chiron are going to get together in Aries. And however you feel, if you get triggered, you're going to spew it. So be aware, don't be around anyone that triggers you tomorrow morning. If you just take the morning off and binge watch some Netflix or take a warm bath, do a long meditation, avoid the people in your household, whatever it is, whatever's triggering for you, avoid it tomorrow, Wednesday morning. Moon is going to move into Aquarius on Wednesday the 15th, and the moon is going to conjunct Saturn. And this is going to start to cool our tempers a bit. So Wednesday, we're really going to start to simmer down, which I am looking forward to. And the sun is also going to square Jupiter. So it's interesting. We'll have that effect of feeling the simmering down because Aries is really hot and has a tendency to have a hot temper and a quick temper. Aries are quick to get mad and quick to forgive. But the sun in Aries is going to square Jupiter in Capricorn. So it's going to, again, have similar vibes to what is going on today and yesterday. But it's going to have it in a really different way because Jupiter is a happy planet. Pluto is a very deep and intense, sulky planet. So we are going to have a real ability when Sun squares Jupiter later on Wednesday. We're going to have a real ability to tap into our own expansion. So especially if you're working on something right now that has something to do with you stepping into a leadership role in your business, in your life, you're going to feel expanded in that. You're going to feel more confident in that. But if you are putting your ego first above what is right? If you're feeding the ego and not feeding what's important or what's the right thing, then it's going to be a little messy and uncomfortable, and you could get a little, the thing about Jupiter is it makes everything bigger. So if you're really big and in your ego and you're on a power trip right now, it's going to make that bigger. So I'm guessing if you're listening to this that you're not one of those people, but be aware that other people might be on that power trip. Other people might be the Governor Cuomo's and the Mayor de Blasio's going at each other, right? So we're going to maybe see more of that that I talked about earlier. On Thursday, the moon is going to conjunct Mars early in the morning. And so that's going to give us a little bit of energy. So when the moon and Mars get together, we always get a nice little dose of energy, especially physically. So if you can get up and exercise early on Thursday morning, I'm always doing East Coast times, so adjust for where you are, then that is going to be great for you and probably really good because we all need physical exercise right now. And I don't mean it because we're stuck at home and I'm worried about your cardiovascular health. I mean, I am concerned about that as well, but I am more concerned about you moving the energy. And so one of the best ways to move energy, especially when we have a lot of challenging aspects that are poking at our core wounds and poking at our trauma and poking at our emotional patterns, the best thing to do is to get your body moving and move that energy. I don't care if you just want to dance, shake it out, do yoga, go for a run if you live in a place where it's safe to go outside, whatever it is for you. But moving your body and moving the energy this week, especially on Thursday morning, it's going to be very satisfying. But in general, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling angry, you move your body. It'll put you in a much better headspace. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that there is a lot of anger right now. And that anger is a really productive, energized feeling. So again, that physical component of moving your body can help you turn that anger, frustration into something positive. So again, if you're feeling really angry, do something with that energy that's productive. Maybe that's calling Congress and demanding that every single person in this country get a write-in ballot for this coming general election in November. Maybe that energy you put toward, posting about donating to the frontline healthcare workers or donating to Races, which is one of my favorite organizations to donate to right now is Races, RAICES. And Races is on the front lines in Texas, helping to move immigrants through the system so we can get them out of cages, basically. And again, I said I wasn't going to be political today, and I just can't help it, especially because there's so much Aries energy, and I'm an Aries, and I'm a little bit of a political nut. And so when I have all this anger, frustration, Aries energy, which is home to me, by the way, as I say, the people that do yoga need yoga, and I'm one of them. And when I have all of that, I can't help but use it. But that's a good thing. So use the energy. Let the energy fuel something positive for you that can actually make a difference. Okay, so on Friday, the moon is going to move into Pisces, and we're really going to start to chill out, and that's going to be so nice. On Saturday, Mercury is going to sextile Venus. Okay, so here's the deal about that. Mercury sextile Venus normally would be really nice. Normally you'd be like, oh my gosh, great, communication, love, relationships, money, it's all flowing, it's all coming together. But right now Mercury is in Aries, as I said, and Venus is in Gemini. And guess what? Gemini is traditionally ruled by Mercury. So Venus is really answering. to Mercury right now. And therefore, Venus is a little hot and bothered too. So Venus is not in the best mood. Mercury's in a great mood. He's just telling you like it is, and he's not holding back. So between the two of them on Saturday, you really want to make sure that you do not get into an argument with your spouse. Again, deep breaths, go do some yoga, go watch TV in the other room, go out for a run, do the other things. Just stay away from confrontation, especially in your relationships on Saturday. And then we're going to have Mercury sextile Mars that same day. So here's the thing. While you're avoiding your spouse because you don't want to have a fight, you can do some work, because Mercury sextile Mars is going to be like, your brain is going to be on fire, going 100 miles a minute. So on Saturday, if you're like, I don't normally work on Saturday, because for me, that's my one real day off. It's a great day to go and do some work that you need your mind to be like super on. If there's like some weird like tech thing that you have to figure out, Saturday's a great day because Mars is in Aquarius. So really, use Saturday to do something that's going to stimulate your mind, and don't sit around and harbor resentment and anger and nitpick the little things that your family is doing. Really use that energy to go do something that's going to be intellectually stimulating for you. And for you, that might be a crossword puzzle. For me, that might be working on my website or my business, or planning my workshop. But, find something that's going to be stimulating for you on a mental level where you can get into that mental flow state, because that is really fulfilling, especially right now. When you can get into that mental flow state with your work, it is like the most gratifying thing right now, because it's like the virus like doesn't exist. When I'm in the flow state, the virus is like, I'm like, what? I didn't even know we were. So it's really nice to be able to access that flow state from your work, for anything that mentally stimulates you. So that's going to be a great thing to do on Saturday. On Sunday, thank God, even though I'm in Aries, I love Sun and Aries season. I am really looking forward to the sun moving into Taurus, and it will on Sunday morning at 10:45 a.m. Eastern time. This is going to offer a little bit of a respite for us, because the sun in Aries it's been a really hard Aries season. So as an Aries, I will tell you that our birthday season has been very tough. So if you can make our birthday really special next year, all the Aries in the world will appreciate you. But really, it's been a really tough Aries season, and we knew that was going to be the case because we had, as the planets moved through Aries, they were squaring all the Capricorn planets where we had so much action going on. And so we knew when these squares happened, first Venus, then the sun, now Mercury moving through that and squaring those Capricorn planets, we knew that it was going to be really challenging for us in society in some way. We had no idea that it was going to end up being a pandemic, right? But we knew that there was going to be some major challenges and some major transformations to be had, and this is the way it's being delivered. So with that said, it's been a tough Aries season, and so happy birthday to all my fellow Aries out there. We're talking a lot about you today. I hope that makes you happy. And Aries love to talk about themselves, so not as much as Leos. And so we are going to move into the sun in Taurus, and I think the sun in Taurus is going to be really, really, really gratifying because it's going to be steady. So Taurus likes things to be steady. It likes to feel grounded. It likes to be really aligned with home, with the things that feel comfortable. It's a fixed earth sign. So you can think of it as being the most earthy earth sign, the most dug in. That's why Taurus people get a bad rap for being really stubborn. And I shouldn't say a bad rap because most Taurus people are very stubborn. So I suppose it's not a bad rap if it's true, right? But they tend to have a good deal of stubbornness, and that's because they're the most earthy of the earth signs. They're a fixed earth sign. So once we move into Taurus, I think we'll have more predictability in our lives. Well, while we won't be out of this, obviously, I think that we'll move into a place where we have a little bit more reliability and predictability in the information that we're getting. And we might have a better sense of when things will shift back to normal. And I hate saying back to normal because I don't think anything is going to be normal again. I think that we're going to be tasked with having to create a new normal. And in my opinion, that is a really exciting world to be living in. But right now, we're in the muck, we're in the transformation, we're in the messiness. But give yourself the opportunity this week, since it is the last quarter of the moon cycle. That is an invitation to go inward. That is an invitation to reflect on what has occurred in the moon cycle thus far. And this moon cycle started on March 24th. So if you think back to March 24th, I mean, it feels like a lifetime has passed. Time is moving so slow and so fast at the same time. And when we reflect on this moon cycle, which we all should be doing this week as we move toward the next new moon, really give yourself a pat on the back. Write down some things that you've done well. I always have my gals in the Luminary League start with, what have I done right? And that's because we can always focus on what we could do better. But we often do not start with what we're doing right. And there's a lot more that we're doing right than we're doing wrong, especially right now. We really can't hold ourselves to too high a standard in terms of what we normally do when it comes to work or working out or eating well or all those things. Okay, so I wanted to mention that. So Sun and Taurus, I really feel like that's going to be, it's really going to be a nice treat for our central nervous system. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And then Monday, the moon's going to move into Aries, and that's going to be like a little bit of like a little bit of a last knee jerk. I mean, we are going to have Mercury in Aries still, and so he's going to have some business, and we're going to still have some tough stuff for sure. But Moon in Aries is going to be that last phase of the moon before the moon goes into the new moon in Taurus. So Moon in Aries is going to be, that's going to happen on Monday. And so we're going to have that last moment of like, whoa, this stuff's crazy. And you might have that one last little outburst of the week. I don't think so, though. I think the moon in Aries on when it moves into Aries next week on Monday, it's really just going to be a real. I'm umming a lot today. I don't know why. It will be a real ushering in of the next phase of the newness. And even though it's the ending of the moon cycle, we'll be revisiting that new moon in Aries that we just had on March 24th. And hopefully it will feel like we can really rebirth now. We can really be reborn. And again, the new moon in Aries on March 24th, it was a rebirth. It was the beginning of spring. So this time of year, spring equinox, Passover, Easter, it's all about being reborn. And so we are in the process of that. And the process of being reborn is always messy, right? On Tuesday, so I'm going into next week just to give you a peek of next week. So on Tuesday next week, the sun is going to square Saturn. That's going to be a day with a little bit of frustration in it. So Monday, Tuesday next week, just like this week, Monday, Tuesday, a little frustrating. Give yourself space. It'll be the end of the moon cycle. You'll want to be going inward. As the moon darkens, we want to go inward. We want to take more time for ourselves. And then on Wednesday, we're going to have the new moon at 10:26 p.m. Eastern time, and that'll be the new moon in Taurus. And I'll talk about that next week. And if you are not in the Luminary League, it's a great time to consider joining because I put out a new moon ritual every new moon each month. And 2 weeks later, we have our full moon workshop, which is live on Zoom. Always so much fun. We get together. We talk about the full moon. We talk about the astrology of the moment. People ask questions. We do a meditation. We do some journaling. And then, of course, we have some mini readings at the end for the members who are on live. And I would love for you to be a part of that. So you can check that out on my website, veronicaperetti.com/Luminary League. That's all I got for you this week. I feel like I talked way more than I anticipated. I thought today was going to be a really short one because we've had so much stuff going on, and today There's not nearly, this week feels like light, even though normally this would not be light, but we've had such crazy astrology that a busy week feels light now. It's all perspective, right? So I'm going to end our time together for this week. If you have questions or you want to book a reading, you can always head to my my website and do all that great stuff. So I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you for being here. Lots of love. And remember, take a deep breath before you approach any confrontation.